These are my Hume notes, and Hume is a scoundrel. Scallywag, that's the word I was looking for. Hume is a scallywag. I don't like Hume very much, but then I can understand him very well. But that's been the case for a lot of books recently, but I will press on and hope that session, which I have in a few hours, will enlighten me. Hume, yes. First idea is the point of philosophy, really, not as it's been abused through the ages, is to teach people how to live well, teach people how to be human well. And that all this analytical stuff is not directly relevant to living well. The best use you could have is ripping apart ideas and the way that we live so you can understand each piece so that when you put it back together it'll work good or better. But that's not the way that most people use philosophy. They just get into an analytical game and it doesn't mean anything. But the people that don't do any philosophy are equally guilty because they're all blind and just into the senses and are stupid people in general. And so you need both. How can you do that? Hume is very concerned with this. And he wants to say reason is not this great thing that's kind of trying to pull you to a higher level, like the mystical side of the forms or something, or seeing God even. It's just sorting out my sensations. Yeah. I have these sensations, I need to order them, I'm going to use my reason, that's it. I don't really come to conclusions that have substance in themselves. I'm just sorting my senses. Which is debatable, but that's okay. So yeah, core idea number one, the point of philosophy is to live well. And yeah, that's it. And then the point of, the way that philosophy affects your life is because you get these abstract ideas, but then you apply them to real life. And the way that you apply them is by putting them into the senses, which is entirely what my term paper is about. That this takes the imagination. I don't think Hume would agree with my use of the word imagination there because he's talking about like just pure fancy, but that's not what I'm talking about. But the act of taking an abstract theory and putting it into the sentences, applying it, saying, here's the abstract theory about the form of justice. What does that mean in life? What does that mean in action? What does that mean? I'll do this instead of that. And what does that look like? And not just metaphorically, but actually, is when it becomes meaningful. Hume says, abstract ideas are slippery, the mind can't hold on to them, but the senses are thick, and you can really actually believe in them. Don't think that's wrong. I just think that they go together, and that the imagination links them. And the imagination is super important because of this, and I think that the imagination has been downtrodden through the ages. I do not like this. But art has been its savior. It's like Jesus has been its savior as well. So yeah, that is the first thing, and I think I like Hume more than when I started this video, just because the idea of sorting senses actually makes a good amount of sense. I hope that's what he's saying. And the second thing I want to talk about, the core idea, is nature as law, miracles as violations. Nature as law. There's this order that governs the world, and unlike human law, it's absolute. except for when things mess it up. And that's not according to the will of humans, but according to the will of God. Things like law that's governing God, and like God violates his own law, like so that like we don't have to obey law, but it's bad when we disobey. In the same way God can do that, then like God's wrong for doing miracles, which is why it was believed for a long time that miracles would never happen really because they violate God's own order, and that would never happen. And I think Hume kind of set a precedent for that. Even if he himself liked miracles, he was like so much into miracles as violations that it got everyone into a huff. They're like, oh, if it's violations, that's bad. God would never violate anything. And I don't think that's a good way to talk about miracles. No, I don't. I do not like that. So that's not really a core idea, that's just a complaint. And a synthesis with Chesterton in particular, who says very contrary things. So it's not synthesis, it's a thesis. But I definitely agree with Chesterton much more than Hume. But to get back on track on my notes, nature, all of our reason is bound by the laws of nature. And so, no matter how hard we reason, we can't get outside our own nature or the nature that surrounds us. And that this is a severe limitation that Hume wants us to be aware of, and he thinks we have not been aware of for many generations. The problem I have with that, or the way I think it's weird to talk about that, is he's saying, like, you can know that you can't know something. Can you know that you can't know something? Can you say this is where the line is? Like, you know, you know, like when you're playing soccer, you can say, here's the out of bounds, right? Here's the line, that's the out of bounds. If you go over the step, you're out of bounds. But you can only say that because you can see what's on the other side, and you say, not that. But if you can't even comprehend what's on the other side, then you can't really say, not that. You know? You have to be able to see the edge to be able to say, no more beyond this point. But if you can see the edge, then you've comprehended the thing that's making it edge. And that's a problem, I think. So I always have a problem with people saying, like, God put this into the Bible so that puny humans would understand, because we can't understand the real thing. Or that, like, original audience can understand the real thing, but we can understand the real thing. Or that, oh, that's this whole predestination, free will thing. It's just kind of beyond our understanding. How do you know that? You know? I don't know how you would know that. I don't think you can know that. I think, yeah, the whole idea of limitations of reason and understanding is really difficult, and I think maybe impossible. Oh, but now I'm in trouble. Yeah, yeah. So that's him. Really wish I had more to say about him, but I'm so confused about what he's even saying that I don't think I can. I do wonder about the role of a philosopher though. With Socrates, maybe a little quick synthesis here. Socrates is very interested in how to live well, how to live well, I guess. I think we do need to hear Hume when he's saying that philosophers have gotten distracted with their own games. Especially Christian philosophers, I think, need to be very intentional about serving the church with their reason, and not just serving their own selfishness and their own analytical mind games. Philosophy doesn't have an application for the church. If philosophy is not serving the kingdom, it's not valuable. It's not worthy. But it is. And I wish I could go into detail. I'm out of time.